Hi there, and welcome to our next episode of CEO Conversations. My name is Shelly Weir. I am the president and CEO of the Florida Institute of CPAs, and we are so excited to be chatting with our two special guests today, talking about a bit of a scary topic, but one that is so incredibly important for the accounting and finance profession. So welcome to our latest edition. We're going to be talking about cybersecurity for CPAs today. So joining me, I have two very special guests and friends of the Institute who are, frankly, probably no strangers to many of you. Val King is the CEO of Ascent Portal, who we are pleased to welcome as our newest FICPA Premier Partner, serving our members with all of their risk assessment and compliance needs. Welcome, Val. Thank you for being here. So happy to chat today. And of course, this guy over here almost needs no introduction, our longtime friend, Christophe, the CEO of Coaxis International. Thank you as always, Christophe. Our members are always so eager to hear your insights and talk about the hackers and what's going on in cybersecurity land. I'll just caveat this with sharing a personal story. Before we got started today recording, I was sharing with Val a personal experience that I had recently regarding a hack into my bank account. And it truly is when you don't think you need it security system. And you don't ever know it's going to happen to you, or you don't think it's going to happen to you until it does in fact happen. And it can be really, really unsettling. So thank you guys so much for doing what you do for the profession and kind of guiding us through today's conversation. So today we're going to talk about cybersecurity, but we're really going to deep dive into the world of written information security plans. Our friends on the phone have just enlightened me, otherwise known as WISPs. So I'm going to get that terminology right. And Val, I definitely want to start with you. For those listeners who might be new to the conversation, just catching up or wanting to understand more, can you talk us through exactly what a WISP is?
Sure. A written information security program is essentially a guide, much like you have a set of rules as a CPA for how you're supposed to behave. The experts in the industry have pulled together the best practices around what we need to be doing from a cybersecurity standpoint. So instead of you being on your own and trying to figure it out, there's a set standard that is now in place to get the basics in place for your organization and know what you need to do. The other side of that is we have the FTC that is now it's extending the safeguards rule to the CPA industry, among others. And so the WISP is something that defines exactly what they're looking for, exactly what a CPA needs to be doing in their firm and their practice to make sure that they're meeting those requirements and protecting their business in a million words or less.
I love it. I love it. So almost a roadmap, if you will, of what they need to be doing.
You said it. What did you answer the question? You did better than I did.
See, I'm learning while I'm facilitating. It's all fantastic.
I see the light bulb coming on above your head as we speak. This is great.
I love it. I love it. So, okay, there have been these federal guidelines in place surrounding WISPs for 2 decades now, but the safeguards rule changed within the past few years in a way that specifically impacts CPA firms. So again, the safeguards rule specifically impacting CPA firms. Can you tell us a bit about what changed and why CPAs need to be taking cybersecurity more seriously now than ever?
Sure. Essentially, this began with banking, which is where the safeguards rule first came into effect. As we were trying to protect financial services organizations because there's a level of, what was the phrase, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. Well, effectively, that's where cybersecurity started. That's where the money was against banks. And they found that banks weren't well protected. There wasn't a program to help them figure out what they needed to do. And they were at the mercy of the individual players in their own organizations as to what they were doing. So FTC safeguards, among several other things, came together to say, we're going to build a framework for you, a roadmap, to borrow your term, of exactly what you need to do as a bank. And so what defined it was what a financial services organization was. Well, the difference between two decades ago and now is that they've just expanded the term of what a financial services organization is, looking at who has the majority of client information, similar to a bank. You have social security numbers, and so you have all this data about individuals, and we need to protect the data. And they're seeing the same problems in the CPA industry and car dealerships, mortgage industry that they saw in banks 2 decades ago. So they've really just expanded the definition. And much like, for those of us that were there 2 decades ago, watching the banks pucker up and try to figure out what to do, now it's come to this industry. But the good news is we've had 20 years to figure out how to do it, where last time we were totally scrambling.
It makes perfect sense. And I've actually been with one of our CPA members in public accounting before, when her systems were hacked and they were being targeted, exactly to your point, because they have social security numbers, they have banking account information, all of these secure, private pieces of information that CPAs need to be able to do their job. And we are just so heavily targeted as a profession now from these attacks. That's very, very helpful. Okay, Christophe, I'm going to kind of turn over to you. I know that the reason both of you guys are here today is because of the unique partnership between Ascent and Coaxis. And so I want to kind of throw it to you, Christophe, jump in here. Tell us how your companies are working together to be solution providers for CPAs in this space. What's the difference and who does what?
So basically, I mean, there's not going to be any surprise to what we've been doing, because we've been a long-time member with the FICPA. What I've been saying, when I come to the mega conference, Allen conference, and all that is, the FICPA, what I like about it is that you take care of all kind of CPAs. They don't have to be a KPMG. They are, small CPAs, and that's what, the WISP is all about. Is, the big dogs, they have the compliance, they're fine, they can do that themselves. But basically, the small CPA firm, this is where we need to help them. Okay, so as Coaxis is very predominant, as in cybersecurity and hosting, right? We developed a partnership, with Ascent Portal, because we saw the importance, of guiding the CPA, the small firm, into doing their compliancy. It is important to them as it is important for KPMG or some people like that. The problem is that they do not have the staff to be able to do the WISP or to even comprehend the WISP. And we've done already many CPAs together, that when they see, how the WISP, is defined, into the Ascent Portal, they said, okay, now I understand what I need to do, because it's very clearly defined. It's very well, presented, right? So that includes, from all the aspects of the WISP, that includes, your pen testing that you have to do, within the WISP. And it really, guides the CPA, even if you don't talk about, compliancy at this point, right? It is a compliant tool, but, just for the risk analysis, just for the cybersecurity impact the CPA has, it is a good place for the CPA to be, is to say, okay, I've got this WISP here. I know what I'm doing. Okay, I know that I'm protecting myself. I know that I'm doing the right thing. Now you can even turn around, let's expand it a little bit, right? You can even turn around and go to your cybersecurity insurance, that asking pretty much the same question. Says, do you have this? Do you have that? It says, yes, I actually do have this. Hey, here's my WISP. Look at that. They're going to be very happy with what you do, because that includes, pretty much everything. So that's what, the partnership is about, is to help them, comprehend and do their WISP, very easily and very affordably, right? And then us, helping them, into cybersecurity. They say, yes, this is what you're going to do. We help Ascent Portal basically when they have a partner says, hey, this member, how does it do that? And we tell them, say, well, that's how they handle this problem. Okay, and then so they put it into the WISP. We give them, documentation on it, and that's how it is. So it makes it very, very simple for the CPAs, and at the end of the day, and it's continuous. So that's what the good thing about it, because we talked about that in the last CEO meeting, I think, when we talk about pen testing. This is something you have to do all the time, right? The WISP, is the same thing. It's not something that you have to carry in June, right? It's something that's going to follow you all year long, right? And it's going to keep you heads up and be like, okay, I remember, what I need to do to be secure. I remember that I need to train my staff. It's going to keep your eyes open, basically, and avoid you to be hacked, because like I told you before, the hackers, they're going to come. They're not going to call you before. They will come when they decide to come, and it's going to be usually at the moment you least expect it. So either, during tax season, or when you're super relaxed, during the summer and you're like, nothing happens, that's when they're going to hit. The WISP is going to prevent that because it's going to keep you on your toes at all time.
No, it makes perfect sense. And that's one of my favorite presentations that you do, Christophe, is when you pretend to be a hacker and you go in and you show our members what that looks like. So
Yes.
speaking of hackers, Val, I want to go back to you for a second and just kind of put a little bit of a finer point on this. Outside of the obvious, because of the type of information that accounting firms have in their records, because of the nature of the business that we do, why do you think accounting firms are, specifically a primary target for these bad actors and these hackers? Is there anything else that would be helpful from a context perspective?
I think so. So you look at I would say CPAs are a soft target of sorts because they don't have the same regulatory framework set around them that banks have, that credit unions have, but they hold a lot of the same data. So because we've moved in many cases away from trying to get money, for instance, from a financial services organization into trying to get data, because data can be turned into currency. So as a source of information, it is a honeypot of great data that is not particularly secure because there hasn't been a regulatory element around it. And you're busy trying to do tax returns and take care of your clients. You're doing what you can, but you don't have a dedicated room full of cybersecurity experts around the corner taking care of this. So it basically comes down to bang for the buck, right? There's really good data here, and it's not particularly well protected in a lot of instances. And I can turn that really good data into a lot of money. I don't have to take the dollars. I can take the data and get some dollars.
I love I don't love what it is, but I love what you just said there, Val, about data can be turned into currency, because that really is so true. And if we're going to protect our money, we have to protect the data in the same way that we protect our money, right? So shifting gears just for a second, away from the hacker side of the aisle, Christophe, unfortunately, we in Florida know all too well about natural disasters, and we've been very unlucky these last couple of years and taking direct hits. Hurricane Ian obviously was catastrophic for so much of the state. These I-named storms just keep hitting us each year over and over again. And I'm sure you guys have seen the Weather Channel and the National Weather Service, and their predictions for the 2024 season are not looking good. In fact, they're looking awful, in particular for Florida. And that poses its own risk to information systems and cybersecurity. You know a lot about this. So how could a WISP help inform a firm who's just experienced a natural disaster? What could it do to support them in the wake of that, or help get them ready, or both?
Well, because the WISP is a preparedness, mechanism, basically. So we here, we all know I have a data center here. We prepare every day. Every day we go around, every day we check. It's an everyday thing. It's a daily thing, right? So when a hurricane hits, some people, some nice client, they call and says, "Are we okay?" I'm like, "We're okay," and we're okay every day because we check and check and check every day. The WISP, consider your WISP to be the same thing. In the WISP, it's going to talk about disaster recovery. It's going to talk about, what happened if you have any kind of disaster, and this is going to prepare you for it, because you should not think about a disaster when the eye of the storm is about 50 miles away. That's not the time to think about it. The time to think about it is today, so that when the eye of the storm is 50 miles away and hitting your way, you don't have any worries. You're like, I'm prepared. I know it's going to be disruptive. I know I'm going to lose electricity, but in the WISP, I've already prepared for that. I know where to go. I know what to do. I know everything I have to do. It's not going to be a surprise. And that's what's going to help you. And it's, when things hit, right? And it can be a hurricane, or it can be, hacking, or whatever that is. The best way to be is to be prepared, because when you're prepared and you know what to do, then it doesn't come as a surprise. And when you see, people panicking, is because they haven't done anything to prepare. That's what the WISP is going to help you do. The WISP, a lot of people, unfortunately, they see that as like some kind of a penalty, right? They say, "Oh, it's the FTC, it's the government." It is, they're right, it is, promoted by government, but it's for good reason. It's because they've seen problem in that industry, and it says you guys have to be prepared now because of the weather, because of the hacking, because of cybersecurity problem that keeps, augmenting every day. They said just prepare yourself. That's why they put the WISP together and be like, if you follow this guideline and if you do this all year long, you guys gonna be okay. Because we're going to take care of the cybersecurity problem. We're going to take care of the weather problem. We're going to take care of all that into the WISP. And if you follow those guidelines, you're going to be okay. Is it going to be disruptive? You're going to be disrupted by the hurricane. Everybody is. But, you're going to be prepared. You're going to say, okay, my backup is here. I don't care about the pen test. It's going to keep running. This is going to be here. This is who I got to contact. I'm prepared. I can prepare my clients. I'm okay. That's what the WISP is for, really. That's what it is.
If I can add to that, I would say that it makes you stop and ask questions that you don't think about normally as part of the day-to-day. So by definition, you're having to think about your business in a different way. And then it also focuses you on the things that are important, because you could what if and scare yourself to death. Well, what if this, what if that? And you can overwhelm your stuff with what if scenarios. But this is very focusing. So it makes you, to summarize, it makes you think of things you don't normally think of, and it helps you focus on the things that are specifically important. And so once you have that down, then when something happens, you're already ahead of the game because you've already thought about your business in this way, and you already have some tools in place and some guidelines to direct you, so it's not just total chaos.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense to me. And in my mind, I'm almost thinking of it in way of it's a roadmap that is going to help you almost help serve as an insurance tool. Just as if you would not have homeowners insurance living in Florida and Hurricane Central, you don't want to be caught unprepared. It's this tool and a guide that can help to get you there, point out, to your point, Val, all the things that you may not be thinking about. And then it's that insurance policy that you can rest easy, that you've done what you're supposed to do and you are prepared on defense, whether it's a natural disaster or a hacker or whatever new thing comes along tomorrow that we have to all worry about. So it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah,
piece of
very
mind.
similar to those little pieces of paper that are stuck on the wall of buildings that in the event of fire, there's some sort of emergency escape and you walk past that thing and ignore it. But the second something goes dumb, all of a sudden that piece of paper becomes really interesting. It's a very similar experience.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
go ahead, Christophe.
The amount of members of the FICPA that send us their cybersecurity insurance, right, docket, and they said, I don't understand it. I said, what are they asking about? Because if you look at the question, it's like, what is this, right? And the WISP going to help them with that, because it is, the insurance is pretty much asking what the WISP is asking, if you think about it, because it's like, are you prepared for this? Are you encrypting this? Are you doing this? Are you doing the pen testing? And they're asking those questions for a simple reason, is because those answer matters. They just show the insurance company, and that would show the FTC, I am prepared. Like Val said, it says, I'm thinking about those questions. I've addressed those questions and I'm prepared. So hurricane coming and hit me, I'm prepared. I'm going to be disrupted, but I'm prepared. Hacker come and hit me. I've done my pen test. I know it's going to be really tough for you to come and hit me, but if you come and hit me, I am prepared. I know what to do.
I've got my armor on. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready all the time. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys again so much for joining me today. Val, just want to give you any closing comments or maybe one big thing that you want people to take away from today's conversation. This seems a bit like a no-brainer. Just go ahead and do it. And that way you've got that peace of mind and that roadmap to understand what you need to do to get prepared.
I would say from a sense perspective, as being in, CIO in the healthcare space and the banking space, that this should be a tool that you use by exception, right? If you have to spend a whole lot of time thinking and managing, and I got to hire a full-time employee and work all this stuff out, then you're going at it the wrong way. You should be able to manage this by exception. The idea is, if you have a huge gargantuan firm, they've got people dedicated to this, and this is all they do all day. Most people don't. They want to do tax returns. They want to take care of their customers. So the solution that you pick doesn't have to be painful. It should be something that you can just you can set the program in place and then manage the exceptions and stay focused on the thing that's creating the revenue, creating the livelihood for you, right? And so if you find yourself in a place where it's not that, then understand something's probably wrong and we need to take a step back to fix that, because it should not be your business. It should support your business, but it's very easy to let one overwhelm the other if you're not careful.
Well, guys, thank you again so much. I know that we could probably talk for hours about cybersecurity. Well, I know you two could, and I would just make sure that I was following along. But what you do is just so incredibly important for the accounting and finance profession. So thank you so much for lending your expertise today. I know many of our members will probably have additional questions, either big picture or more granular in nature, and we'll be sure to link your contact information when we deploy this video. But again, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you at our conferences over the summer, very soon here before we know it, and wishing you the best, and most importantly, just be safe and be well. Thanks again.
We'll be there. Thank you,
Thank
Shelly.
you. Appreciate the time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Shelly.